Hi, I'm Tim Allsworth from the SEO Specialists. I'm the founder and CEO of the SEO Specialists, and today in this tutorial I'm just going to talk about, I'm going to give you some professional SEO tips, search engine optimization tips, about writing a blog post that will get to the first page of Google. Now, it doesn't matter how good you write a blog post, it's going to take time. Don't expect the blog post, depending on certain factors like competitiveness of the particular keyword that you're trying to rank for. For instance, penguin eggs for sale is an uncommon keyword. It's not something that a lot of people do, so it'll probably be relatively easy to get that particular keyword on the first page of Google. It would still take a few weeks, if not a couple of months, but other keywords such as search engine optimization or SEO company or high heels or electrician, they're very competitive keywords because there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in a particular country trying to sell that particular product or doing that particular service. So it's going to be hard, and it's going to take a while to get those keywords to the first page of Google. So basically, this tutorial is just about writing a blog post. It's not about keyword research. I'll do that in another tutorial. This is just about writing the perfect blog post. It's got basically I'll teach you how to write a blog post that's just got the best potential and the best possible chance of getting to the first page of Google. Now, if you've used WordPress before, WordPress is it's a CMS, or a content management system, similar to Wix or Shopify, but I consider it to be a lot better. Wix and Shopify are easy to set up. They're easy to add products, and WordPress is the same. Once you get the hang of it, there's a learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, it's quite easy, and it's pretty much just common sense. This is my personal blog, which is Tim's Weird Wonderful World, and it's a nature blog. And as you can see here, you've got posts, and that's exactly where we're going to go into today. We're going to write a post, and you've got pages, things like that. You don't worry about any of this other stuff, like not unless you built your own WordPress website. And in another tutorial, I'll actually show you how to set up a WordPress website, install a theme, and install plugins. So, and I also use Rank Math, which is a very good SEO plugin. I consider it to be better than Yoast. Yoast is good, but this is slightly better. So that may be one plugin you might want to install. Actually, I'll show you how to install it now, because I'll be showing you that in the blog post, how to add meta descriptions and meta titles that will help with click-through rate, or that's just basically how many times people click through to your website when it shows up in a search engine. So basically, in WordPress, all you need to do is go to plugins, and then add new plugin. And I've already installed it, so basically you just type in Rank Math, and you can see it here. It comes up here. All you need to do is just install it and activate it. And once it's installed and activated, all you need to do is just go into Rank Math here. You can go into, usually when you install it the first time, it automatically comes up with an easy wizard. It's very easy, and you can just set up some basic settings. You don't really need to know a lot about it. Just basically just follow the wizard. It'll just ask for your business name, upload a logo, add any social media pages that you've got, and that's all you really need to do. You don't have to worry about any of this other stuff. If you really want to dive into it, you can do a bit of experimenting. In another lesson I'll show you how to use it properly. So basically that's installed. So basically, to start off with, you just go to posts, and you click all posts. I've got posts already in there, so I've got posts already set up that are pretty much SEO optimized. And the good thing about Rank Math is it actually gives you a score. You can try and reach 100. The closer you get to 100, the better. It's pretty hard to get to 100, but anything above 80 is good if it's in the green. But anyway, I'll show you basically you can either just start from scratch by clicking Add New. The Add New screen will look like this, and it's just basically got a title. Add a title in there. The content section, you can add images and things like that. You can upload, and that's the Rank Math SEO plugin there. You don't really need to. That's mainly for uploading an image that will be shown if someone decided to share the post, or if you decided to share the post to your page. That's the image that will be shown in a preview image. And then you got general, and then this is the edit snippet screen. But I'll go back to a post that I've already created, so you'll see an optimized post in action. So basically, I've got, I'll find one here where I'll find one that's ranking really well, which is measurement converter. So if I type in measurement converter, that's a blog post that I've recently, well, I didn't recently write it, but I wrote it back in the 10th month of the 12th, or 10th of December 2020, which was about 8 months ago, 9 months ago. But measurement converter, or measurement converter is an extremely hard keyword. You're basically looking at over 100,000 traffic per month. So basically, the higher the traffic value for a keyword, the harder it is to rank. So basically, I've managed to get that to position number 6 or 7 on the first page, and yeah, it's an extremely hard keyword. So I'll show you what I've done in it. This will give you an idea, and I can prove that I've got it to the first page. So if I do a Google search and then go to there's the first one. That's Google's. It'd be pretty hard to beat that one. I probably will never get to the first position, because that's just like a in-app tool that Google uses. It comes up on Google, but you can see there's my website there. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm position 9. Sometimes I go to it and I'm position 5 or 6. Sometimes I'm 9. It bounces around, but it's on the first page. And it's taken 8 to 9 months, but that's an extremely hard keyword. There might be keywords that you're going for that might only take 2 or 3 months to get to the first page. Might only take a month. It just depends on the competition, how well you write the article. So that's the first thing I'll talk about with SEO. There are pretty much there's probably 4 or 5 major things that are sort of like Google tick boxes when you're creating a website, let alone writing blogs. The first thing is it's got to load quickly. It's got to load within, I try to get web pages loading within 2 seconds on a computer, and 2 seconds on a phone. There are plugins that will load websites extremely quickly, like AMP, but like AMP limits a lot of the way a website looks. It can be helpful in certain situations, but in others, just depends on if you want to use it or not. So the first rule of thumb is, when you're designing a website, loading times is a big factor. It's a big factor. Getting a website or a web page, not a website, but a web page, any web page on your website, or getting all pages on your website loading within 2 seconds. That's a milestone. And you can do that with an array of plugins. I'll show you how to speed up a website using plugins. These are plugins that I've been using for years, that I've researched, I've experimented. These are the best plugins that I've found that speed up a website. That's a different article. That's a different tutorial. The second thing is mobile responsiveness, or handheld device responsiveness. That's a big factor. A website that doesn't display correctly on any sort of handheld device, whether it's a mobile phone or a smartphone or a handheld device, it won't rank very well, because Google sort of frowns on this. Good user experience, that's what it's all about. You've got to give the user the best possible experience and not have, you try to mitigate as many errors on the website as possible. Like if you build a website and it's not mobile responsive, Google will know. It'll pick up on it when it indexes your page. It tests the page on its own system. There could be buttons that are off screen. There could be buttons that are too close together. The font might be too small. You might have images that are too big. And if you have a website like that, you won't rank very well. And that's the second biggest thing. The third biggest thing, as far as ranking is concerned, is format. So, like, for instance, you have a look at this blog. I've got online measurement and unit converter and calculator free. Now, a lot of people say keyword stuffing. That's what I've done there is not really, it's not really keyword stuffing. Keyword stuffing is like making text look unnatural. So, like, if I was to put in, this is the best free online conversion calculator. It's free. It's a unit converter. Only an online measurement converter could be the best online measurement converter. This measurement converter. That's like, you gotta write text naturally, and incorporate keywords. And you gotta make the text readable, understandable to a human. So basically, like, just write naturally. Write for the user, don't write for keywords. Okay? And just have the keywords in the back of your mind as you're writing. Just incorporate the keywords in the titles and into the text every now and then for the particular keyword you're going for. So basically, like, format. So you've got, like, and you have a good format. Basically, write a post like as if you're at school and you you're in a test and you got a test paper, or in university or something, and you get marked. And if you got bad spelling, if you got bad grammar, if you've got titles that are all over the place, you got like heading title, like heading 2 up top, and then a heading, heading 2 there, and then a heading 3, and then a heading 2, and then a heading 3, and then a heading 4, and then a heading 2, and it doesn't make sense. You got to write blogs like as if you're writing an essay. Like it sounds daunting, but it's not. It's very easy. You just got to be logical. Like you got to have your biggest heading up top, because this title here is going to be heading 1. WordPress automatically puts the title as heading 1, unless there's some sort of configuration in the theme where you can choose the heading that you'd like. But most themes, or most WordPress installations, it automatically makes this title that you put in heading 1. And having more than heading 1 confuses Google. You can put in more heading 1s. It won't, it can affect rankings, but you want to try and mitigate everything that you can think of that will stop you from getting to page 1. So like, I only have one heading page. I only have one heading 1. You don't have more than one heading 1. So basically, that's heading 1. The headings that you use in the rest of the blog will be heading 2 or lower. So basically, you have your biggest heading at the top, which is heading 2. And then, as you can see here, I've got heading 3. I got heading 3. I got heading 3. They're all heading 3s, and that makes it uniform. If you had a heading 3 here, and then you had another subheading, heading 4, always have it logically ordered. So you have under any heading, always put a lower heading underneath that heading if it's in that. Like for instance, this is what I'd call a topic. Each paragraph is its own topic or own section, and always have in one section, always have a heading that is lower than the main heading of that particular section. So if you had like, heading 4, and all you do is you just highlight the text, and just choose heading 4, and then you'd write a bit of text, and then you'd have heading 3, highlight that. Oh no, you wouldn't put heading 3, you'd put heading 5. So you got heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and they would all be in this one section. And so that's basically it. It's not hard. It's just basically just having a rule where everything is ordered. You don't have headings all over the place. Another thing too is that you try to have paragraphs as short as possible. So if you've got a long paragraph, it's hard to read. It makes it hard for the user. Another thing too is that users get easily bored if they've got a lot of text. Like this one is sort of different, like, and I'll show you other blog posts where I've got a ton of images in there. This is basically, I've created this one so that the tool, the most important part of the blog, is at the top, because that's the first thing they see. That's what you want. You want the most important things up the top of the blog, and then you have all the rest of the, I've just put in all this extra text, just add a few keywords in there. That they won't read this. Not 90% of people won't read any of this, but this is just all, just putting extra keywords. I put a video in there from YouTube. I'll show you in another article. I'll show you how to upload a video to YouTube and then put it on the website. But so the rule of thumb is you just follow an ordered sequence, have paragraphs as small as possible. Make sure that you use, make sure that you check, make sure that the grammar and the spelling is correct. I use a tool called Grammarly. Which is really good. There's a free version, there's a paid version. The free version's quite good. It checks for spelling. You can copy, once you finish the blog that you're writing, basically you just copy and paste it into here, the text editor, and it picks up on, there's some instances where you don't want to change it. For instance, this particular blog post is that's a quote directly from a spoken person, so Grammarly might say that's wrong, but you don't want to change that because that's a quote. Someone has actually spoken that, and you don't want to change it. And there might be other things here, like there's, you can rearrange sentences. It'll pick up on mistakes. For instance, if I take that A out of there, it'll check that, and then it'll come up with. So basically, once you've written the post, this is a good way of proofing it. So you basically just copy and text the post into here, and it's really good. So basically, the first thing is have only one heading 1, which is the title. The first title should be heading 2 or heading 3, or it should be the highest heading that you're going to use. Have each section ordered, have heading 3, heading 3, heading 3, and then underneath each section you can have heading 4, heading 5, heading 6, etc., etc. Spelling and grammar. Make each paragraph as short as possible. Each paragraph, I wouldn't make it any more than 2 or 3 sentences in each paragraph. This thing about bolding keywords and stuff like that, I don't tend to use that. I use it sometimes, but I don't see that it makes any difference. And videos are really good to add to a blog, because they don't necessarily increase rankings, but they increase user experience. They also keep the person on the page longer. I'll talk about that in a minute, but basically, to add a YouTube video to a blog post in WordPress, all you need to do is go to YouTube, and you might have a video that you've uploaded yourself, that's relatively easy. All you do is you just click that, upload video, and that's it. So you just upload the video. Okay, for instance, like this is just like one of my videos I've already got here. You can just go back to YouTube, and you might want to add a video that someone else has made. So for instance, this one might be measurement converter. And all you need to do, I put that one on there because I think it's it's good for the user. It's a bit of information. So basically, you just click on it.
10 essential, but
and you just wait for the ad.
Low GI, protein, high in fat. Welcome to Math.
You stop the video, and all you do is you right click on it, and then copy embed code. Don't copy the video URL unless you're making a video post or something where the theme's got an option for you to add the video URL. But if you want to embed the video into the post, all you need to do is right click on it and then copy embed code. once you've copied the embed code, all you need to do is, there's two parts to the WYSIWYG, or the what you see is what you get editor. But just in simple terms, it's just a text editor like Microsoft Word. And so you got visual. This is like basically what the user will see on the front end. And then you've got the text, which is the HTML. As you're writing and putting headings in, the only time you need to go to this text really is if you're editing the HTML. When you're writing, it automatically inserts the HTML, so you don't really need to worry about this unless you're about to do what I'm about to do, is insert a video, or you know a little bit about HTML and you want to change something in there. So basically, that YouTube embed code that I've just copied, if I wanted to add that there, all I need to do is put my cursor there, press enter because I want to make a bit of a space for the video, press text, and you can see my where I've clicked it. That particular sequence of characters is just code for space or new line. Basically a space between that and that. And in this instance, you don't really need it there. So all you do is you just click there. You make a bit of space, maybe make a bit of space between each where you're about to put this code, and all you need to do is just paste. And that's the YouTube video there. Usually you don't have to change the width and the height. Usually, I would keep that how it is, because that sort of keeps the same aspect ratio. And then you go back to visual, and there it is. Oh, if I scroll down, so there it is. So that's what I just put in. That's the video I've already had in there, but this is the one I just put in, and that's it. And that's all you need to do. I'll just get rid of this. What I'll do is I'll just refresh the page. So that's it. That's all you need to do with adding a video. So basically, like I said before, it's just title, structure, format, keeping paragraphs small and simple, only having one heading one. Spelling and grammar is good. You can use Grammarly to use that. That's that one I showed you before. If you go back into the video a bit, you can see the just type in Grammarly into Google. So basically, as you can see here, now this is just an example. So if I go back to another post that I've created, like for instance this one I've just created, I've got a nice little title here. Always try to incorporate a keyword, the keyword that you're trying to rank for in the title. For instance, I'm trying to rank for McDermott's Castle, which is an island castle in Ireland, and I put in the Irish Island Castle. Basically, when you're writing a title for a blog post, don't just add in the keyword. Try to add in a phrase, or it could be like McDermott's Castle, one of the 7 best destinations in Ireland, or the Island Castle, McDermott's Castle, or always try to sort of like, don't just put the keyword in there. Put in a catchy title, but with the keyword in there somewhere. I'm sure that you will think of something. Like there are tools online where you can, for instance, you can just type in blog title generator. And you can go to maybe Fat Joe, and you can type in, if I type in McDermott's Castle, I'm not too sure how it'll go with this one because it's not a, it's not a big keyword, but maybe something else like, I'll just go back to that. Maybe commercial electrician, and then you can click that. So you might just get some ideas from that, but there's other tools, but you can. I find that the most powerful tool is your own mind. Blog writing it's not a chore. I love doing it. It's just write naturally, and write to the person. Don't write to rank. Just follow these simple guidelines, and the blog will rank well. So that's the first thing. So with the title, just add in the keyword that you want to rank for. And basically a keyword is just very simply, it's a search term that you would think people would use to find your blog post. So if you're writing about cleaning services in Brisbane, well, that's a keyword phrase. So like if I was going to put a title about that, it'd be like something like, what makes a good cleaning company in Brisbane, or 7 ways to contact a cleaning company in Brisbane, or things like that. So you just sort of be a bit imaginative and things like that. And basically, like this, I'm using the newspaper theme, which you can find off Theme Forest, which is I buy a lot of templates from Theme Forest. I find that they're really good. If you type in newspaper is the best blog theme as far as I'm concerned. It's really good. Costs around $59 US. Here in Australia that's about $70 or $80, but in the US it's $59. But that's very cheap for what you get. Basically, this article is just about writing a blog, but I'll show you how to add in install a theme and set it up. Every theme's got different settings, so just me installing this one is not going to cover every single theme out there, but this one will just, it'll give you an idea of how to install it. But going back to the blogs, so you got the title. Now, this is what they call this section here that I've just clicked on. This is what they call a permalink. So basically, this is what will show up when you go to our website. So for instance, if I click here, that's the permalink. That's what people will see. Most people don't. Most people who don't take much notice of it. But to a blog poster or a web designer, or just someone who's just writing a blog post like yourself, or wants to know how to write a blog post correctly, this is pretty important because basically what you do is, this is what I do after I've created the title. Now most times you don't need to do this. Basically you just click update, or you click publish. Like if you're writing a blog post from new, that'll have publish instead of update. But if you're editing a blog post that you previously written, or you got to press update once you've finished making the changes. But most of the time, if you type that in, it will the WordPress will automatically add this in to the permalink once you publish it. But if you want to edit the permalink, all you need to do is edit. But having keywords in the permalink is very good as well. It does have a slight influence on rankings, whether it's big or whether it's small. I think it definitely has an impact on rankings. And you try and put your keywords as close to the main permalink or the main domain name. So you try to have your best keywords at the start, and then put all the other, just filler keywords at the end. And you also try to have the keyword as short as possible. So that's a pretty good keyword length, a pretty good permalink length. You don't want it, you probably wouldn't want it any much longer than that. But like I said, you can have it longer than that as long as you have the main keywords at the start of it. So that's basically the permalink. So basically, in this section here, you got add media. This is where you can add images in. You can upload them, or you can put them in if they're previously uploaded, and you can do that in any section. So if you wanted to put an image there, all you need to do is just press enter, click that, done. It adds the image. Adding images, you try to break up the text. You want, one of the other biggest things about, one of the other ranking factors about any sort of web page, whether it's a web page for a business or a blog post like this, any web page that you want to rank, you want to try to keep the user on the page for as long as possible. Longer than a minute and a half is good. Anything longer than that is excellent, because they call it bounce rate. That's an old term, like it's becoming old now. There's other terms coming out now, but they pretty much mean the same thing. Bounce rate just means how long a person stays on a web page or a website before they bounce, before they go to another website, or they close the tab down and go back to Google, or so basically, you want to keep the user as interested as possible. That's why you shouldn't just put in random text. You should write lively, just write as if you're talking to someone. If you're trying to think of things to say, or you're trying to think of things to write about, just pretend that you're someone else asking you questions about the particular topic that you're writing about, and then just write about anything. At the same time, just try to keep, if a person's interested in what you're writing, they're interested. If they're not interested, they're not. A bounce rate, you're not going to have everyone affixed to your page. Not everyone is going to be interested in what you're writing about. But the people that are interested, you want to keep them on the page for as much as possible. 50 to 60, anywhere between 50 and 60% bounce rate is good. Anything more than 60 is not too good. Anything better than 60% or 50%, so say 40% or 30%, 20%, you'd be hard pressed, getting a page to 20 or 30%, it's extremely hard. But if you got to that, you're doing very well. Basically, just say you had a bounce rate of 50%, that just means that 50% of the people who are reading your article bounce off the page before a minute, and the other half keep reading. That's all that means. So basically, 40% means that only 40% will bounce off the page before a minute. So the lower you go, the better. The higher you go, the worse it gets. And bounce rate is a ranking factor. So basically, Google's got an algorithm and it's got rules, and you got to make Google happy. And if you've got a low bounce rate on a page, that's telling Google that people are interested in what they're reading. And as Google scans the page over time, over the weeks, over the months, and you get more people clicking on the page and reading it, and they're staying longer, they're staying on the blog post longer, they're reading longer, that's telling Google that what you're writing is interesting. They like it. What happens then? It goes up in rankings, because Google considers it to be relevant content. So, it's just one of the little rules. So you got here, like, depending on what type of blog post you're writing, like this is the newspaper thing, and this is what I like about it, because you can add videos, you can make it a video post. So basically, I like to add a lot of images in. I don't like to add too many in, but I've got a plugin here that I'll show you how to do in another tutorial that compresses images, so the page doesn't take all day to load. I like to put nice images in there to break up the text, and like this one, for instance, it's good for travels. People are looking travel destinations. I like to embed Google Maps, which is very similar to this is a keyword. Like, you got what is McDermott's Castle, where is McDermott's Castle. These are all keywords. People might search and type that in. Where is so when you're writing, you've got to think about all these questions of what people will search for. And another good way is you can actually, like, if I search for McDermott's Castle, the first thing, it's got the organic search results. It's got the Google map of where exactly it is. Now, this section here is really good. Basically, you can get questions that are asked a lot on Google from here, and then you can research those and write in your own content. So, like, you can basically just copy that. This is really good. People also ask. It's a section in just about every search term that comes up. Look for it on any search term that you come to. And incorporate those into the blog post, and then research your own content and then write it in. So you just basically just copy it, go back to your post, and I've already done it here. And then I've gone to another blog post, or I've researched it maybe on Wikipedia or something, and I've just basically just read it and then just reworded it and put it in my blog post. Like, for instance, in 2014, the island castle was seen in a episode of the show. So you can reword it and slightly change it. Never ever directly copy anything from another website directly onto your own website, because they call that duplicated content. And there's a big myth about does duplicate content hurt your rankings? It doesn't do it in a direct way, but what can happen is that there are several things that can happen. If you directly copy content from another person's website without rewording it in your own writing, because if you're writing about McDermott's Castle, you obviously don't, unless you've been there or something, you might be writing about something you know nothing about, and of course you're going to have to do research and draw information from another website. But if you copy content directly from another website, there's 2 or 3 things that can happen. The first thing, the big thing, is you can be sent a copyright notice. The person who's written it can actually, you can be sued for copyright. And that's a big thing, because you could be sued for thousands. The second thing is that if you do copy content from another website, now if there's another website that's had that content on their website for years, or 6 months or 12 months, whatever, and they're already ranking, you will not rank. This blog post won't rank. It might go up highly, but it won't get above theirs, because Google considers that other website to be the canonical. Canonical is just another name for the original source of the information. So it's just a big no-no. You just don't copy text unless it's like a quote. Like if it's a quote by someone, you always you put the direct. If it's a quote and it's it's not a very large quote, as long as it's not like 4 or 5 paragraphs, maybe just get the most important paragraph from a quote. Someone like a scientist who's quoted, he might have quoted something. Take the most important paragraph and then copy it into your post, and then use the quote. See, it's got block quote. You can block quote it. That's Google knows that's a quote, and it won't consider it duplicate content. It's you're basically telling Google you've quoted it. And after you put the quote in, underneath you can either put in source and then the URL of where you got it from, or you can just type in by whoever wrote it. That's the best way, so duplicate, like copying content, just don't do it. So you got this is really simple. Like with the Google Maps, you basically just you get these questions. You put in the most obvious questions that you can find first, and then you go here and you type in what you're writing about. And most of the time, it's got people also ask, and you can use those as titles. And these are questions that a lot of people ask. So basically, I've typed in McDermott's Castle. This is how to find the location of anywhere, just about. You just click on that. You click on that map, or you can go directly to Google Maps if you want. Then you click these three buttons here. Then you go to Share or Embed Map, and then click on Embed a Map. And then I like to choose large, which is large. You got medium, but I like to choose large because these maps automatically resize on a device, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. And all you do is you copy HTML, and then I'll get rid of that because I've already got it there. And then you basically just click where you want it to go into text like I did before, get rid of that, and then paste it, and then go back to visual, and it's there. And adding locations like Google Maps doesn't necessarily increase rankings or anything. I mean, I think it can, but there's 100 different things that you can do to increase the rankings. This is just one of them. But everything that you can do to increase rankings is good, right? So, putting Google Maps in sort of adds a bit more user experience to the web page, and that's what you want. You want user experience. You want things that they can click on, they can view. You want videos, you want images, you want nice short paragraphs, ordered headings, another image. You know, you might want to put a caption on the image, and that's easy too. You just click there, and then you can put in the and and in this, you know, like there are sources you can get from, for instance, Wiki. If I go back here, you know, you can get images from Wiki, but they just ask you to, you basically just download it, and then you basically just copy that, and then you add that to the caption, and then click update, and it adds it here. There are three main sources of images I get. You know, unless you've got something like Shutterstock. I mean, the best place I've found, the cheapest place I've found for stock images, if you want to pay for stock images, they cost about, on Shutterstock they can be fairly expensive. You know, they might cost you $10-20 per image, but Deposit Photos, I've got an account with them, and basically they cost me about $1 an image. I usually get about 40 images for $50, and that's really cheap. That's just like, you know, it's basically $1.50 an image or something, and they got thousands of images there. So that's Deposit Photos. So that's if you want to use paid stock images, but there are free places, and one of the best ones I've found is actually Flickr. It's very good. So basically, if you sometimes, you know, you won't find, you know, sometimes it won't have many images for something particular, but just say like cirrus clouds. You know, if I'm writing a blog article about cirrus clouds, which is a type of cloud, as you can see, there's all these images, but some of these are copyrighted as well. You can't just use any of these images. So what you do is you click here, any license, and you use commercial use allowed. And that will bring up all the images that you're allowed to use anyway. So you just click there, that commercial use allowed, and you can use any of these images. You know, you can go to that one and you can just basically download it and choose the size. It's got some rights reserved. I mean, if you want to, you can link back to this page using that caption I told you before. You don't have to, but you know, you might want to you might just want to copy the name or something and put that into the caption just to give the image person a bit of credit. You know, you don't have to, but like I said, this is very good. It's one of the, you know, like, it's just got a massive amount of images on it. This is another thing, like, for instance, this is another thing, when you're adding an image, for instance this one, I'll just get rid of it. So like, if I go back to this one, this is the one I want to add. You've got alt text here, right? You got title, description, and you got caption. Caption is what I was talking about before. That will place small text underneath the image, such as a you know, like a image credit back to the source or whatever. But alt text is it is very important, because and title and description as well. But alternating text is or alternative text, I should say, is pretty important, because basically all you need to do, what I do, the good thing about I've actually installed a plugin that automatically inserts the title into the alt text. So, you know, like, you can download a plugin that does that, or you can just do it manually. It doesn't take much, but I always put what the photo is, or I always put the title of the post into the alternative text of each image I place on the post. So I add media, and then I add that one, and then I paste the title in there. Do it to the title, do it to the description. Now what that does is, you can't see it, and it shows up in the back end, or it shows up in the HTML of the website when it's published. But what that does is that whenever you search for something, you've got different types of results. You've got all, which shows everything. You got images, you got maps, videos, news. Click more, you got, all these different categories that you can find out about McDermott's Castle. But adding an alternative text to the images basically it tells Google what the image is. So basically what you're doing is that and a lot of people search for images, and basically what you're doing is you're telling Google that this is a picture of McDermott's Castle. So when they search for McDermott's Castle in images, after a certain amount of time, it's not going to happen straight away, but after a certain amount of time, your image will show up here, and it's just an extra way of getting traffic to the website. So I'd make it a really important part of writing a blog post. So basically, as I'm scrolling here, I've got images, I've got another thing too is I've got a plugin that automatically, well, it doesn't automatically, add links, but the internal link structure of a website is pretty important too. Basically, as you're creating posts, you link to other blog posts that are, have maybe a similar topic. So for instance, like I've got Lake here, right, and I've made that a link to another blog post topic that I wrote about Pebbleshore Lake. And what this does is it increases the trust of the website, and it's just another little thing that helps with rankings. And to add a link, basically it's pretty easy. All you need to do is just highlight the words you want to use as link. Now, the words that you highlight to another web page, or an external web page, or an internal web page, or another blog post that you've got, try to have they call it anchor text. This text that I'm gonna link to another blog post is called anchor text, and try to have this link, have this wording that you're highlighting, basically describing the page that you're, or at least part of the page that you're linking to. So, for instance, if I I'll just use this one. This one's pretty small. Like I try to use 2 or 3 words. I wouldn't use any more than 3. I wouldn't use any more than 4 words in an anchor link because it's making it too long. But you just try to find words in the blog. This one's going to be a bit short. I'll try not to just use one. I'll try to use 2 or 3. I've only used one there. But all you do is you just highlight the words, and then you just click this little icon here, which is a link, and it says insert edit link, and all you do is you press it, and basically if you've only written one blog article, you can link to other pages. You know, there's pages and posts, and they're two different types of web pages. This is a post. A page is like the about page or the home page or the contact page or something. They're pages. These are posts. They're different. But if you've got no other posts and this is your first post, doesn't matter what you type in, you can't link to any other posts because you haven't written any. So you basically, as you're writing posts, you do this. You know, you go back to posts that you've written, say, a month ago, and you know, you basically just connect all the posts up with links. So basically, like, I type in castle, and I've written another blog post called, I can't pronounce that, but it's a German castle. So, like, you know, you just put that in and it's done. Most of the time, you know, if you've written another blog post and you're linking to another blog post, most of the time it will just search and it will automatically come up like that. If you want to get rid of a link, all you need to do is just click there and then click remove link. So try to connect every blog. Try to have at least one link from one blog to another blog. Blogs, articles that you don't link to from any other blog are called orphan blogs. That's exactly what they mean. It means that they haven't. It just means that they're orphaned. It means that no other blog is linking to them. Over time, you know, you don't have to do this straight away. Just, you know, you might want to write 20 blogs and then go over the previous blogs and then add these links in. But make this another important part of, you know, try to add in links. And when you're adding internal links, try not to add in more than 5 or 6 in each blog post. Unless you might be writing about, for instance, like I've got another post here I've written. Just depends on the topic. For instance, I've got like top 19 nature blog posts. I've put more than five links in there, but that is okay because Google will know that, you know, it'll basically scan the title and say, right, he's writing about top 19 nature blogs, so obviously he's going to link to each nature blog. It's a bit different, but with this one, you know, if you're not writing, it just depends on the topic you're writing about. But this one here, like if this is just a general post, I wouldn't link to more than 3 or 4 other blog posts from this post. And another thing too is, this is what I like doing. This is another thing too is that you try to put in bullet points. You know, you can basically just do that here. Bullet points organise the text. Like I was saying about formatting, make everything organised. Put bullet ordered lists in and bullet points in when you can. It's always good. Or put numbered lists in or bullet points. Make everything organised. The headings organised, the paragraphs organised, the bullet points, you know, put them in when you can. You know, just everything that it just reads well. Everything's clean, everything's ordered, everything's logical. Don't have everything all over the place. And another thing, good thing too, is that this is what I like doing. This is I find this is pretty important. Always try to link to an external website from every blog post that you write, and always keep the external link on topic. So basically, always link to another blog post on another website that's on the same topic as the topic that you're writing about. So, and all you need to do is just when you get to the end of the blog post, just search the main topic of your blog post, and just go through a couple of the main ranking ones. You know, you could just, like I've added that one in, you know, you can add another one. Have a look through them also, you're not linking to rubbish. Make sure you're not linking to rubbish, but generally the higher ranking ones aren't rubbish, so they're the ones you want to rank to. You know, usually I try to stick to the first or the, at most around the middle of the second page, but you'll always find something in there. But just basically do what I've done here. You know, like I've put in further reading and then a couple of links. Another thing you can do is just type in sources and then put in, like if you've rewritten text from another blog post, put in a link to the websites that you got the information from. That is really important because basically you're backing up what you're writing about. Whenever you're writing, try to back up what you're writing about by adding links. You know, you could put like, this blog post was sourced from these pages or something like that. So try and it's like an essay at university or school. It's really important. So this also, down here it tells you the word count. You can see just well, you can see just here. I can't highlight it, but well, you got drafts. It's just that little part underneath, directly underneath the content box. It's got word count. That's very important too. Have the word count above, anything above 600 is okay. Anything above 800 is good. So don't try to write articles longer than 600. Anything less than that, you got a chance of Google classing the content as thin content, and that can lower the rankings. You know, you could probably write an article. You could probably get away with writing an article 400 words long. But I'm just saying, the more information, as long as it's not garbage information, you're being concise and writing about everything, the longer it is, the better. Because Google prefers long form content over short form content. So now I'll get to this part here. So you got the publish box or the publish section. And this is where you can preview changes. So basically, as you're editing the blog post, you can preview it, and all you need to do is just click on preview, and that will show you a preview of what the blog's going to look like. Now, you know, it basically shows you what it's going to look like on the front end, or what the user's going to see. You know, very easy. So then the next section is this doesn't save the post, okay? This just previews it. Here you've got the status. You can change the status from published to draft. Basically, if you change it from published to draft, it won't be viewable on the front end because it's just in draft mode. Or you can change it from draft to published. I mean, you can use this. Basically, you know, you can write half of a blog post and go, okay, it's not ready. I'm not ready to post it yet, because you might run out of time or something. You have to go and do something else. So what you do is basically, you know, you can just draft it and then click update, and that puts it in draft, and it won't be sent on the front end, but it saves it so you can come back in here and then finish it off. And then once it's ready to be published, click edit, published, click OK, and then update. Visibility, that's just like, you know, you got password protected. That just means that you can put a password in it. Like if it's content that, you know, there's several uses for that. You know, it could be you know, you don't want the general public to see it. You only want to allow people with a password to see the page. You can put a password in there. And private. And then you've got revisions. Basically, you know, if you forget to publish it, you know, and you know, it could be a time where you think, oh no, I've lost all my content. You know, you might be halfway through a blog post and all of a sudden your computer, the power goes off or something. Depending on settings, the browser or WordPress saves a version of the blog post as you're writing it, and it could be every 5 minutes, it could be every 2 minutes, it could be every minute. But if that ever happens, you can basically come back into your website once the power's back on, and you can click browse, and it will show you, like, you know, you can use this slider to restore a version. And it might not be, you know, you might lose a paragraph or something, but you know, it'll save you some time, because you won't have to rewrite everything out. And this is basically just the publish date. You can edit that too. I mean, most of the time you won't edit that. It'll just automatically put in today's date. And that sometimes shows up on Google as well, you know, so people can see when the post was written. I mean, you know, there's a lot of content that's not fresh that shows up on Google, and you know, you might be reading something about a new technology that's only, you know, like a new mobile phone or something, and then there's a post that's come out in 2010. You know, you don't want to be reading about that, because it's got mobile phones that were made back in 2010. Not unless you're searching for information on mobiles that came out in 2010, but most of the time you're not. So that's you know, that's good for keeping content fresh. You know, that's another thing. If you've written a blog post and then 5 years later something's changed, you know, go back and you change it. Try to keep content fresh, because you know, your rankings can drop if your information becomes out of date too. I've got a plugin it's a duplicate plugin, and that sort of you know, because there's a few settings here I got. If you're on a simple WordPress website, you haven't got all this stuff. You probably don't need that. But you know, like, I can click that and it'll just duplicate this post, and then I just edit it for the new post. You know, you can use that if you want. You can just go to plugins, add new, and then type in duplicate. And you know, if you're writing constantly and you've got a lot of settings for each blog post and you want to keep them all the same, you can use that. The SEO score, I haven't. I'll show you how to do that. That's just basically the rank math plugin telling me it's only got 26 at the moment, which isn't too good. Then you got the move to trash, and that's just basically if you got a post that you just want to get rid of, or you don't like it, or it's a really old post from 5 years ago and it's just not relevant anymore, you can just click that and it moves it to trash. The update button, when you first write a post, it'll have publish there, but after you've published it and you're editing it, or you know, you've got it in publish mode, or you've got it in draft mode, you know, always click the update button every time you make changes. This particular theme, you know, some themes, a lot of themes have got format, and I've got this in video format, and you know, that just means that this particular theme, like if I go to see the post on the front end, you know, like if you're just building a website from scratch and you haven't got this theme installed, you probably won't have that. But this particular theme, which is newspaper, allows me to add a video link, which is here. But I'll show you how to do. Well, this is probably something you don't have to worry about at the moment. But the categories and the tags is pretty important too. Basically, just you can either create categories here, where my mouse is at the moment, on the left hand side. But I find just you can add new categories while you're writing posts, and that's a lot easier. So I've got a few categories. I've got a lot of categories in there. And as your website gets bigger and bigger and bigger, this is how it'll get. And you organize the categories logically. So you have, for instance, I've got birds, and you've got chickens, cockatoos, and you've got this doesn't look organized because this is how it looks in here, but for instance, you got insects, bugs and beetles, butterflies, and you got spiders. So you organize it. You have, and when you add it, just adding a new category is easy. All you need to do is click on Add New Category, type in the title of the category, click Add New Category. If you want to add a new category under another category as a subcategory, click that, type in the title, and then choose the parent category. So if I put chickens under birds, so basically I would put, and I was talking about cockatiels or something, I'd put that under the parent category of birds, and then you just click Add New Category. Tags are very similar to categories. Basically, for instance, I got this particular one in Castles Island, and so I put Castles Island, and it basically you just type in a tag you want to put in. You have it case sensitive. You want it to look nice. So I have like Castle Island. Plus, I've also got it in nature and travel and tourist destinations. And then I've put in the YouTube. Basically, I've just gone to YouTube, right-clicked on the video, and then just copied the link and then put it into there. And that's the YouTube video there. And this is another section that you might not have in another theme that you're using. This is only for newspaper. Other themes have got this, but I'm just saying, just disregard this if you haven't got it. Because, like I said, a lot of the settings that I've got here are installed with the theme, and you probably won't, you probably won't have, or you'll have the format section, but you probably won't have the featured video section and the featured audio section, so just don't worry about them at the moment. And the featured image is very important. It basically will, it's the featured image. It's basically the image that will show up wherever the blog post is shown on the website. So for instance, if I go back to home, it will also show at the top of the article too, depending on the theme. So it's there. So basically, if I didn't put that featured image in, it wouldn't be. It just have a blank white spot there, and it just doesn't look very nice. So all these images here are featured images of the post, and if I didn't put those featured images in, it wouldn't look very good. There's no image there. So make sure you put a featured image in, and then you got so you don't worry about all that sort of stuff. So as I showed you before with the Rank Math plugin, basically here, you've got, that's the keyword I'm using. See how it says focus keyword. This is what I want to rank for. Type that in, click enter. It's showing up in green. That means I've done a pretty good job. So basically, as you're writing the blog post, as you're writing it, just write out the blog post. Don't worry about this. Do this after you've finished writing the blog post. So basically, yeah, so just wait till you finish the blog post, and then come down here, and this first section here is meta description and meta title. Sounds pretty complicated, but it's not. Basically, all it is, for instance, this website. That's the meta title, and that's the meta description. Well, that is there. So basically, what you write in here, edit snippet, is what will show up in Google search as a preview and a title. It's a bit like what you want to write on an ad in a newspaper. So, and this is something you don't have to do. Like this, some SEO specialists think that this does improve rankings. Some SEO specialists don't, but one thing it does do is it improves click-through rate, CTR, which is basically, like I mentioned previously, it's just say your website showed up on the first page of Google 1,000 times in a month. A percentage of people will click on your website. So just say you're showing up in position number 5. You might get 30% of people who go to the first page and find 10 results on the first page of Google. 30% will click on your website. So that basically means that 300 out of 1,000 people a month click on your website. So it's click-through rate. And adding in a meta description can increase click-through rate because you can make it look interesting. You know, you can make the preview look interesting. Basically, if you want to add a title in and a description here, you know, like most of the time, like Rank Math automatically adds, it's got these what they call code. It basically just automatically adds in the titles. So most of the time you don't have to do anything with that. But if you want to change it, you can. The permalink, you leave that alone. And this is the description. Now here's where you can put in anything you want. You want to just put in something catchy, like find out one of the best travel destinations in Ireland, McDermott's Castle, and try. This is another thing too, as I said before with the permalink. Try to get your main keywords at the start, you know, and then write just some other stuff. But like I said, if you don't put the title and the description in, Google will just show the most relevant section of your blog in this. It'll basically draw out the best description from the text that's written in your article. So, you know, like most of the time, like that, I haven't added anything in, because to me, you know, like it's already got it there. You know, that looks pretty good to me. But if I wanted to change it, you can. Now, if your title, if your focus keyword is not in the green, it might be in the red or the orange. It might be 23%, it might be 50%. That's not too good. The reason I find this one really good is that it just helps out a lot. So basically, what you do is, if you're finding that your keyword is not very good, you scroll down and it will have all these suggestions. You know, like these are all green ticks, but if your keyword wasn't ranking too well, it would have red crosses there. So basically just go through each suggestion. So like if my keyword wasn't in there, it would have your keyword is not in the SEO title. So you add the keyword in the SEO title. You add the keyword that you've added here in the SEO title. Here's another one, put it in the meta description, which is here. Focus keyword use, as I was saying before. Most of the time Google, WordPress will just automatically add that in. But if you haven't got it in there, you can just basically go back up to the top here and add the keyword in there. And you just go through each one and you just try to, it says like you try to put the keyword in the first 10% of the content. So that's another thing. When you're writing a blog, try to put the keyword or the keyword phrase that you're trying to rank for in the first couple of paragraphs or the first 10%. And then it says, focus keyword found in content. You try to incorporate the keyword. I wouldn't put the keyword in no more than 5 or 6 times, but it also depends on the length of the article. The more content you write, the more times you can put a keyword in. But like I said, don't stuff it in there. And then over 600, if you've got a blog there and it's under, say, 400 or 500, it'll probably have an excerpt saying it's too short. And that's saying that it's 1212, so that's good. And then you got additional. So this is really good because it will basically, over time, you won't need to do this because you'll automatically learn from it. But if you get your keyword to as close as 100% as possible, anything over 80% is good. But just go through each of these and try to get it as close as possible. See, that's saying one paragraph is too long. Find the paragraph and shorten it. Like you don't. These two here, you don't have to abide by. Like they're sort of like like they're like an alternative thing you can do, but they are good. Basically, a positive or a negative. You can click on it and actually find out what that means. You can put in like power words like like 7 life hacks that will blow your mind. Or for instance, this one on the blog post I've written, I could write 7 interesting facts about McDonald's Castle, but like I said, you don't have to. This one here, that's a power word. This one here is definitely something you don't have to do, but it's always good doing that every now and then. Every 3 or 4 blog posts you write, put in something like 7 questions asked about the latest iPhone, or 5 questions you should ask your SEO specialist before you hire them. Things like that. Questions are good to add into titles. Like if you're answering, that's one of the things I want to say is that when you're writing a blog post, answer people's questions. Because if you can answer their questions, you're giving them value, and and then you got content readability. So you got I've installed a table of contents plugin. If I didn't install that, it would say you haven't installed a table of contents plugin, and try to install one. Table of contents plugin is just basically you can just right click on that, and it's got all you need to do is just go into plugins, add new, and then just type in table of contents, and you can choose a table of contents plugin, and then you can go into the settings of that plugin, and most of the time it just automatically sets it up, but it will insert a table of contents page, which is this. Which is this here. A table of contents is just really good for breaking up the information. Google likes that. So, at least one paragraph is too long, just go back and shorten it. And you know, like if I didn't have images in there, it would say insert images or videos. So that's basically it. So basically you just go through each one and you try to do what it says. You're adding your focus keyword there. You know, you can change the meta title, meta description there. Don't worry about the advanced or the schema. I'll go through that in another tutorial. Social. This is where you can actually, you don't have to do this because most of the time it will automatically just get the first image from the blog post. Basically, this is where you can change the image and the title. Like I said, most of the time you don't have to do this, but just check, because you know, like if you're using a duplicate plugin, you know, you might have to change this because you've duplicated a post, so you might have to come in here and change this to the new images of the new post. But you've got Facebook and Twitter there, and you can basically, if you go to Facebook, and basically, like, I'll show you a preview of that's a preview image. So this post here, if someone was to share this blog post of mine, they got share buttons here. Share buttons is another very important. Try to have a theme that installs these, or find a plugin that installs. You know, type in like social sharing buttons into the plugin search bar and install it, because letting people share content is pretty important too. I'll probably show you how to do that in another session when I'm showing you how to install a theme. But basically, the image that you put in here and the title and the text for Facebook and Twitter is what will show up on Facebook. So just say someone shares my post, that image and that title will show up here and here, and that's all there is to it. I wouldn't recommend using add icon overlay to thumbnail, because that can be you know, I don't know why they've added it in. You know, it can be a bad thing, but you know, you can use it in certain cases. But and all this other stuff, you really don't have to worry about it, because it's all just my actual theme related. So you won't have all this unless you're using the newspaper theme. So that's basically it. If you follow what I've just told you, right, and you follow it to a T, your post will have the best possible chance of ranking. And like I said before, depending on the keyword, if it's really competitive, it will take a while. Doesn't matter how good you write a post. If you're targeting a keyword that 50 million other people are trying to target the same keyword, it's going to take a while. But what I've showed you to do now will get you to the first page as fast as possible, depending on the situation. Basically, this is a perfectly, you know, in my professional opinion, this is a perfectly written blog post. You know, there are certain variations depending on what you're writing about, like I said before. You know, but if you stick to this, if you install the Rank Math plugin, use Grammarly for spelling, you know, you can track back on this video to see what I'm talking about there. But basically, you know, whenever you finished editing, always click update. But basically, that's about it. It sounds like a lot, but honestly, once you write a few blog posts following what I've told you, you'll become a pro in no time. Repetition is what makes you good at anything. So I'll leave it at that, and good luck with your blog post writing, and check back for more videos that I'm going to be posting soon. I'm going to post this to my YouTube channel. I've only got one video there. This is my first tutorial. I hope you got something out of it. I really do. But I've been writing blog posts for 5 or 6 years now, and I know every trick in the book. And I've pretty much told you everything I know about writing a blog post. This is the end result of about 50,000 hours of research. So I'll leave it at that, and yeah, I look forward to checking out my other blog posts. Alright, ciao for now.